In this video, let's talk about embracing change and working with the universe for growth. The kind of growth that lasts beyond this physical lifetime, where we're emotionally and spiritually evolving and continuing to grow and build the capacity for dealing with change and expansion and continuing to look for alignment with God within the constant changes that we're facing. I think, in this lifetime, if we think of beyond, even going beyond our physical experience, I call it the universe adventure, where, it's going beyond what we have here, but it starts here, and we are going to need to have developed this capability and be working on it already, so that as we continue to find our way within God's rhythm of eternity, that we are able to take all that we achieved here and continue it, as we move on beyond the physical life. And so I think this matters because, we don't know for sure, but if we are indeed going to continue to grow and beyond this physical experience, then the ability to discipline our minds and evolve into deeper alignment with God's vibration, it's something that we need to be working on now, because it's going to help us to work with that rhythm, with that continuous evolution and process that is the universal vibration. And so embracing change, I think, becomes a key attitude towards life, because it's the essential way that we teach ourselves, that we expect something out of ourselves, because when we hit the wall of, oh, something is shifting, something is changing, we've got to engage. There is no other way to do it. We can't be passive. We have to be active and engaged in that. And the struggle that we feel, in flowing with the rhythm of change, is that, we see it from this human viewpoint that we've been taught has very much told us to be cautious in those moments. And that's not a bad thing. But if you look at nature, if you look at how change is constantly happening in nature, we accept that rhythm there. We accept that, animals, they shed their exoskeleton. They come out of the skin that was holding them in. They basically expand to a certain capacity. And when they are going beyond that current capacity, then that contraction, that friction pushes them to find a way. It's just unbearable. And they must find a way to break out of those limits. And they basically leave that shell behind, and the friction breaks up those limitations so that they can increase, they can continue to become more. And I mean, that is obviously, in the physical sense, there is that cycle happening. And even we have to, as we grow up, we have to buy bigger clothes. I mean, I know, I get it, that, that's the physical, obvious transition and constant of change. But in the sense that if this kind of tension creates new progress, then I feel like we can understand that, well, life was never meant to be always calm and peaceful. Instead, we're meant to actually see our lives in the perspective of evolution, of progress. And so we have to be expecting to face change and to face challenges. And while we expect that in our physical growth, we have to do that mentally, emotionally, and spiritually too. And as mind, heart, spirit beings, that's definitely something within our own selves we are trying to coordinate. So this idea of embracing change and working with the universe on that, it's just saying that when we face something that mentally is challenging us, emotionally or even spiritually, that all that change is telling us is that we are primed for gaining new ground and for throwing off old things. Just like that exoskeleton is something that the animal moves out of and, has a new form to fill in. So, doing that consistently, even though we weren't meant to be always having everything calm and peaceful, when we do that consistently, have that attitude toward change consistently, and we are trying to be mindful about working with the universe in this constant movement, this constant evolution, then I really think that we actually do experience a lot of things here on our physical experience, we experience them more peacefully. It doesn't mean that we're not still having change in life, but how we experience that change is totally in a more peaceful, calm, and steady way. And at the balance journey, that's a lot of what I talk about, because I feel that, in the lifetime that I've had, that's what I've noticed again and again, is that everything is always seeking balance. And I guess in the sense of it's evolving, and now we have to find where's the new balance, where's the equilibrium, and then things are changing and shifting and evolving. But there's always this sense of progress. And the difficulty we've always had is because society has taught us to basically see those things as causing our suffering. And the suffering is not because of the change or because of the challenge as much as it is because we're resisting that. We are feeling it as suffering because we're resisting it. And so this idea of embracing, even though it seems counterintuitive, it's just getting used to the idea that that's the natural order of things, just building a narrative that in your own mind, and when you immediately are facing change and you're finding yourself resisting, to say, okay, hold on, that's just the natural order of things. It's okay. How can I work with the universe in this moment? How can I continue to stay engaged and seek for the growth that is actually a part of this change? And what I think you can do on a practical level is you can work to proactively build a narrative about change that actually helps everyone that is involved to move with that change. Again, if we're trying not to be resistant, then we are trying to remove obstacles that would stop us from just being able to say, okay, take the next step. Okay, take the next step. Okay, take the next step. And we know how to do that in, if you're facing something like in my family's situation, since I was married to an active duty military soldier, we had to move every few years. And so that was always a big change. And there are many aspects that you can investigate. You can look on Google Maps, and you can use the internet to do all your research to make the best decisions you can make. And in doing that, you are definitely trying your best to remove the obstacles, remove the unknowns, so that you can understand how are you going to move with that change, right? So that part is something we all do. And it's important at the same time, especially with your family members, with the people who may need to, have that narrative so that they can, in their own minds, help themselves to keep moving forward and working through the change. Some of the things that have helped me was to just talk about the fact that, okay, well, we're about to be dealing with this change, and it's a lot of unknowns, and I would give them as much information as I could give them. And at the same time, watch for those things that are in the back of their minds, the questions that you maybe can answer and address, or help them to find ways that they can look up their answers and feel more secure. Just kind of helping everybody to build a practice of being active in embracing that change in a way that makes you feel like, okay, I have a part to play, and that part is something I can do as efficiently as I'm trying to. But, at the same time, while we're trying to make sure that everyone feels capable and adaptable to work through this change, the fact that at the starting point, or even in the middle of it, the resistance is going to come up. And to me, that was just something that I could never really soothe my kids over. The facts were the facts. We are moving. One of the things I tried to never do is tell them the army is moving us. I mean, obviously that was the truth. The military was saying, here's where we need your husband, and so that's where we're going to send you. But I always tried to go a step higher, because I didn't want to ever feel that I'm stuck by some humanistic organization making me do things. We had accepted that this is a part of our lives, and of course the kids, they were born into it, they didn't really have a choice. But in looking at, okay, here's our starting point, we're not happy with all aspects, the important thing to me was that we could express that, but then really lean into the fact that there are a lot of unchangeables here. There are a lot of things that we can anchor ourselves into. While there's this change happening and there are a lot of unknowns, we can remember that we have each other, we have the capability to adapt and thrive, and we've done it before, we're going to do it again. God is always with us, and there is abundance ahead. There is all things will work themselves out. We're going to stay awake and alert, and we're going to work through whatever comes our way. So letting the kids say, I'm scared or I don't want to move, I mean, they have to be allowed to, we all have to allow ourselves. We have to do it for ourselves. And of course, we'll allow our kids to do that too. And so knowing that you have a starting point, verbalizing your concerns, and being able to just say that in a way, it's not so that it will land on you as the parent and then you have all this weight and you feel so, you never want that. You want for everyone to be able to say, I express my emotions, I express my worries, and I confess those openly. And just know that that's all being absorbed by the universe, by God. We don't have to feel like we have to make it better, because I knew I couldn't. All I could do is let them know that I hear you, and I know it's not going to be easy and all, but I know you're capable. We are going to be okay. And we don't know what is in our future, but we can trust that there is so much that will unfold for us. We're going to have to watch for it and embrace it the best we can. And so, I really think that embracing change is just about that sense of, as soon as you know that, okay, we're about to go through some sort of a change, or you even notice that your partner has a change in the way they're viewing something, and you know that that's going to have a trickle down effect in the way you guys operate on a certain level of home life or whatever, in all those times when okay, in communicating and everything, there's something about to shift, then staying proactive is just about saying, okay, well, what does balance look like for us now? We were in this nice little rhythm, and then something's going to get shaken up. What is it? What are we going to do differently? How do we focus on balance to be the essential and know that it's going to look different? And then, finding the ways to, if you have to, speak up, communicate, have boundaries that you say, okay, well, change is coming, and that part is okay, but here's what is not okay. Here's what needs to stay in place, or whatever. So balance and boundaries and communications, it's always what we do to be proactive as soon as we see upcoming change. And that is working with the flow. It's working with the universe. It's our way of embracing change, but saying, I'm going to continue to be able to move with this. And you're actively participating in the part that you're playing in making your decisions and seeking for a new place of equilibrium and steadiness as you're moving forward. And so really, I just think that we have to stay alert and we have to stay open. Those two things are part of embracing change, but it's not our first instinct. So we have to literally tell ourselves, okay, I'm not liking the fact that we're facing a change, but I want to work with things. I don't want to fight against it. And so staying alert and staying open for yourself, that's what you're doing to make sure that you are going to give the chance for things to just keep moving, and you're making decisions in real time, working with the shifts that are happening in the way things are, but also being influential in how you're going to experience that change. That's the big thing, really. So when you're cultivating your attitude toward change, what that's going to do is it's going to settle those around you. Your attitude towards change is wanting to be more of a person who embraces the change and wants to work with the universe to find the growth within that, that's something that is going to be totally worth doing because it's really going to smooth the path for you. And I really hope that my channel can support you in staying steady through that kind of a process. That's something that I feel if we can understand that we're just evolving toward new balance and new growth, then if we hear that narrative and we're encouraged in that direction, we've got it. I mean, really and truly, you've got this. It's not about the change or the challenge. It's about just feeling that secure sense of steadiness, even as you're kind of feeling like things are a bit rocky for a little while. And so to close things, I just wanted to suggest a couple extra videos that I've made. This one is about facing change with less anxiety, and this one is about setting boundaries without feeling guilty. So in those times when you're trying to find your balance and your boundaries and your communication, maybe these things can help you. And if this video has been helpful to you, hit that thumbs up like button, and I'll talk to you in the next video.